HMO compliance is very important. In previous videos, we've talked about the 10 certificates that you need to demonstrate compliance. Here, we will take a look at HMO being prepared and what it takes to be compliant. So Norwich City Council have prepared a document called Private Sector Housing Fire Precautions in Dwellings. That's this document here. And it sets out the minimum standards of fire precautions to prevent injury and to save lives, and addresses 3 areas: to provide early warning, to stop smoke and fire spreading, and to ensure a safe means of escape. It is the minimum standard, and fire risk assessors or council inspectors may require additional measures depending on specifics of the particular property. In producing this document, Norwich City Council have consulted with Norfolk Fire and Rescue Service and the LACORS document, which is Local Authorities Coordinators of Regulatory Services document. The main legislation covering fire safety in private sector houses is the Housing Act 2004, the Regulatory Reform Act Order 2005, also called Fire Safety Order, the Management of Houses in Multiple Occupation from 2006, and licence conditions for licensed HMOs in the Housing Act 2004. Managers and owners of HMOs need to read and understand this document, then implement all the standards required in the particular type of house. We recommend an independent fire risk assessment is carried out on all HMOs. So page 5 of this document sets out the minimum requirements for a 1 or 2 storey HMO with 6 or less occupants. And there are 5 areas: doors, detectors, emergency lighting, egress, and extinguishers. I will talk about each of the 5 areas in turn and show you how this relates to this particular property. Firstly, doors. Doors must be close fitting. And close fitting is defined as a solid construction in a solid frame of a gap no less than 3 mm. It's free from defects, in a good state of repair, and is not cracked or flimsy. This definition can be ambiguous, so we clarify by saying doors cannot be hollow or have panels, as they won't provide the required fire and smoke protection. Fire risk assessors and council inspectors also take this view. Let me show you. This is a good example of a close fitting door. It is a solid door fitting into a solid frame. There are no gaps. It's not flimsy. And it closes with a gap of less than 3 mm between the door and the frame. Sometimes a door must be an FD30S door. That is defined by these things. The door must provide 30-minute smoke and fire protection. It must have fire-rated hinges, handles and locks. It must have intermittent strips and smoke seals. It must have a self-closer, and the gap between the door and the frame must be no more than 3 mm. Let me show you an example. This is a good example of an FD30S door. There's various things that make it an FD30S door. So one is the door itself. It is a fire-rated door, and you need to buy it as a fire-rated door. It's got an intermittent strip in here and a smoke seal on top. It's also got fire-rated hinges, 1, 2, 3, and it's also got a top closer. So this altogether makes a FD30S door. It's important to make sure that it closes to the latch when you open and shut the door, like that. Detectors. The council's document requires a Grade D LD3 system. Grade D means 3 things. The alarm must be mains powered, interlinked with a battery backup. And LD3 means detectors in spaces on the escape route, typically corridors and landings. Let me show you what this means in this house. In terms of detection, it needs to be a Grade D LD3 system. Also, a Grade D interlinked heat alarm in the kitchen. So here you can see the heat alarm is installed correctly in the kitchen, and I'll show you the other alarms in the house. This HMO needs a Grade D LD3 system, and Grade D means interlinked remains powered with a battery backup. You can see here the alarms installed here, and LD3 means that detection must be on all circulation spaces that make up part of the escape route. So here, to escape, you come down the stairs and to the exit. There's an alarm here and one on the landing. Emergency lighting. Emergency lighting is required if there is no effective borrowed light. An effective borrowed light can be from a window or skylight if street lights provide sufficient lighting. However, our view is that windows or frosted glass in front doors don't allow for effective borrowed light, and emergency lighting is required. Council inspectors take the same view, and they may require emergency lighting to be installed. Let me show you what that means in this house. HMOs require emergency lighting if there is no effective borrowed light. The emergency lighting is there to protect and light the escape route so people can find their way safely to the exit of the building. And you can see in this house, there's lighting to indicate this is where the door is, and there's lighting at the top of the stairs. Egress. When it comes to egress, the minimum standards require each bedroom to have a means of escape. And a means of escape is a defined term, which means a safe route out of the house, not travelling through a risk room, and the final exit must be capable of being opened from the inside without the use of a key. Assuming each room has a means of escape, each bedroom must have an egress window or an FD30 door to the kitchen. An egress window is a window that is openable with an area of 0.33 metres squared. The bottom of the window must be between 80 and 110 centimetres above the floor level. If one bedroom doesn't have an egress window, then an FD30 door is required to the kitchen. However, we recommend that FD30 doors on all kitchens, and fire risk assessors and council inspectors take this view. Let me show you an egress window. This is a good example of an egress window. When it's open, the openable area is more than 0.33 metres squared, and the height of the window is between 80 centimetres and 110 centimetres. So this qualifies as an egress window. Extinguishers. This is a simple requirement. A multi-purpose extinguisher and fire blanket is required in the kitchen. Let me show you. The council require a multi-purpose fire extinguisher and blanket installed in the kitchen. So here's a good example of the extinguisher and the blanket. I hope you found that walkthrough useful. Please get in touch if we can help with your HMO compliance requirements.